Number one, the biggest thing is this is a government property, right?
Yep.
It's visitor parking, which declares that this would be publicly accessible, right? So those two things would make this public. Anything past secured, I wouldn't be allowed to go into.
Okay.
So me being here or there, it's all public property.
Good argument. We'll see what security has to say here.
All right, guys, so I am out here with Minnesota News Now. We are checking out the FBI building to see if they respect our rights. Now, it's a little bit late in the day, but you know, I'm sure they already have security full time. We'll see what else we can find out. Hello. How are you?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
You're on the property, right? You trespassing, right?
Well, number one, you haven't asked me to leave, but number two, this is government property, right?
Right.
Okay, who owns the government?
What you mean, who owns the government?
Who owns the government? If this is government property, which we've already established, it's visitor parking, which the signs established that, right?
Right.
So, who owns the government is what I'm asking you.
What do you mean, who owns the government?
Who, just what I said.
Are you trying to say the people own the government?
Correct. It's public property, right? Because the public pays for it.
Private property, though.
Negative.
It's owned by this
The other side of the fence is private, right?
The whole parking lot is private.
Well, this is open to the public, and it's public property that's funded by public, right?
Right. Got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, get a hold of Brooklyn Center.
You can call them.
Yeah.
Right, but this is private property, though. That's why they have the signs posted all around here.
Correct. So this is visitor parking, which means it's open to the public, this parking lot, right?
It's open to the public when they have official business here.
I do have official business here.
At what, filming?
Correct. It's a First Amendment protected activity. I'm a First Amendment auditor.
Okay. So you want to explain that to...
Sure. So,
Like,
sure.
Going further detail about that?
Yeah. So what I do is I go around to different government facilities. I check out what the government officials are doing and people that are paid by government tax dollars.
Okay.
And essentially I see how the government reacts to the people holding them accountable. And that's the gist of it. And it turns into a lot of different things. I mean, it's a really interesting story to show people online. I think there's different ways to do it. I do it one way. I try to stay really professional. I don't carry any weapons on me or anything like that. So I have no ill will or ill intent. I'm not anti-government. I'm just pro-good government, right? And a government that respects the Constitution.
I mean, but what do you want to get out of doing that, though?
Well, education for many different things, right? So I can educate the public on how to have these interactions and ensure that they're executing their rights properly, but that they're doing that. Because if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Right.
And then also for for other officials like yourself who maybe aren't familiar or haven't seen this before.
I've seen it before.
Okay, so, and that's why. Yep. You know what I mean? And the other thing too is a lot of people are very unclear about government property, which is government property, and if there's an area in which you're not supposed to be in, like the other side of this fence, right? This is clearly marked and designated as you can't go inside the fence, right? At that point in time, you can ask me to leave it, and then if I don't, then I get arrested, right? Because there's a reasonable expectation that I'm not supposed to be inside that fence unless I'm allowed or offered to be inside the fence.
To them, you're not even supposed to be in the parking lot. I mean, you could be on the sidewalk. Because I've seen you out here before.
You have, yes.
Yeah, as long as.
But I'm always so busy, I don't get to stay long enough.
Have a problem as long as you stay on the sidewalk.
Sure.
You come
so DHS has a different story to that, and so they've put out a couple of memos. One was, I think, the most recent one was 2018, talking about the fact that you're 100% allowed to film in publicly accessible areas within a building. Now, you can't go past restricted areas. This gate to me, and plus the security house would say that past this, inside of that, is restricted. But the other thing you can't do is you can't trespass the eyes or the camera from what you can see out in public. So I'm in a publicly accessible place on government property, which means it's public property. And I can't go in there, but anything I can see from here, I can film.
I haven't heard that.
Well, hopefully.
We was told that as long as you guys stayed on the sidewalk,
sure,
it it's fine, you know. But once you come past the sidewalk into the property, into the parking lot, now you're on the property.
And I get what you're saying, but hopefully I can explain it in a better way. But basically, so the taxpayers. I mean, the government doesn't own this building, but they do lease it, right? So if it's paid for and the leaseholder is the government, and that pays for the property, etc., then anything that's publicly accessible is public property. So if, for example, let's just say that the gate was pushed back and to the sides of each side of the building there, and your front foyer was open to the public, I'd be allowed to go in there and film anything that's publicly accessible. Now, if you have a security checkpoint, for example, that's inside, you know, at the front door or something like that, and, you know, I want to go through that, but you guys say you can't record through here. Like, once you get in here, you got to turn it off. Then legally, I have to turn it off because it's a secured area.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anything where I would have to go through security to get into would not be public accessible anymore, and it definitely wouldn't be, you know, acceptable if I was told I couldn't record. You know what I mean? So
you saying that you do this all to try to educate people?
yeah, so that's a big part of it. It's twofold, right? So education as well as flexing your rights, which I think is really important. And I think there's a right way to have these conversations and this dialogue and hold people accountable, both sides. And I think there's other ways to do it that maybe are not as productive, but are still important, but I just don't do it that way, you know? I like to have a conversation. I like to give an education. I think it's important for the viewers online to see as well. And that's kind of just what I do.
Can I ask you what's your name?
Sure, it's Rowdy.
Rowdy?
Yeah. I don't give my actual name. That's my nickname.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And the only reason I don't give my name out is because I don't have to. Plus, you guys already know who I am, and I'm sure they do too. I know they do. So.
Well, I don't know. You tell me one thing, they tell us different.
I get it.
So
I understand. But there is a DHS memo out there that you can look up.
Right.
Or your superiors, I should say. You know, I know you're just doing your job, and I get that. And hopefully this will lead to help educate. What's up, man? How are you? I'm doing good.
What's going on?
What's your name and badge number, sir?
Officer Hussein.
What was that?
Officer Hussein 181.
Okay, awesome. Nothing, just out here filming, exercising a First Amendment protected activity.
Well, problem is they've been out here on numerous times, and they have a problem with them coming in the parking lot because they saying that they own property. They say they not on property.
No. I said they do own the property, but the people that own the property is a government agency, and this is a publicly accessible parking lot, which is declared by the visitor sign, and it's government, which means that it would be public property until you get past a secured point. Is that Officer Casey? No.
I'll talk to you over here. Okay.
They are not allowed to be in the parking lot.
Hello.
Hello.
What's your name and badge number, ma'am?
Mackenzie Smith,
Okay.
176.
Outstanding. Thanks.
We haven't met before though.
No, I'm Rowdy.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard of me.
I have.
Okay. Good. How are you today?
Good, how are you guys?
It's kind of a slow night, which is a good thing, I guess,
That is a
in a
good
certain
thing.
aspect, right?
Yeah.
So, just hanging out, filming.
Alright, sounds good. So, I'm sure you guys know the deal. We'll be asking you just to hang out on the sidewalk.
Where?
On the sidewalk.
Sure, I can hang on this one, right? So, this is kind of what we were having a discussion about.
Okay.
So, number one, the biggest thing is this is a government property, right?
Yep.
It's visitor parking, which declares that this would be publicly accessible, right? So those two things would make this public. Anything past secured, I wouldn't be allowed to go into.
Okay.
So me being here or there, it's all public property.
Good argument. We'll see what security has to say here.
I really try to study these things, you know? And I'm not trying to be difficult.
No,
more so
absolutely.
educational.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
How long you guys plan on sticking around for?
You know, it really depends on how this goes,
Okay.
you know? So I can't say for
Can't
sure.
imagine he's gonna give you any great.
You know what? He hasn't been difficult.
Exactly.
he's been nice. We've had a good conversation. So.
We have our rules, but then they want us to do something different.
You guys got any interesting calls tonight so far?
I don't know.
Interesting,
That's a
yeah.
good question.
Nothing crazy?
Hey, Scotty.
Depends what you mean is crazy.
Fair enough.
Hey, I'll disregard.
We were here when that sign got knocked over and the guy put his car. Yeah.
I was on vacation that day.
Were you?
So,
You missed a wild time.
it sounds like it. Sounds like that whole entire day was kind of insane.
Yeah. And then we went over to, there was 2 accidents within, I don't know, must have been within 10, 15 minutes of each other. So we went down to the other one and it was crazy. That one had like a huge crowd. I mean, there was probably 100 people out there.
Like 63rd and June or something like
Yeah, because there was the 2 vehicles that were on their side, both of them. Yeah. There was like, each corner had a bunch of people. I mean, you guys did a really good job. You guys didn't get upset or anything like that. So, you know, kudos to you guys. EMS did a great job. Fire did a great job.
Good to hear it.
Agent and see what's going to happen.
See, what I'm saying, they don't know what they want.
Yeah, I agree. So okay, so here's the deal. For right now,
Mm-hmm.
building's closed. There's no one in
Sure.
there. It's a security. The building is obviously secured as
Yeah,
what they
and I
need
would never dare try to go
whatever
in.
mechanisms they have
Sure.
in place. This parking lot, as
Mm-hmm.
of right now, the FBI doesn't have any direction on what they want done.
I know.
So if you want to film the building as of right now, I would say just fine, based off of what I've seen right now.
Yeah.
The security company and what FBI staff.
Sure.
There's no staff to consult tonight. That might change though in the future, where
Well, I'll be back to check, but
they
you know,
will
it's
probably be implementing different type of security measures in terms of allowing people or controlling access to the parking lot.
sure, and that's up to them.
Which that means blocking off the entrances or whatever they need.
Sure, and that would be unfortunate, but that's up to them.
Yep, that's something that they're going to have to decide in the future. So.
Yeah, but as of right now, I know that we're not breaking any laws, and I don't intend to.
Right.
I don't
And
want
they
to.
seem to be fine with that. as
And
long
he's
as
a
you
good
stay in the
gentleman.
parking
He's
lot.
not,
So,
you know, rude or anything like that. So, you know,
Okay.
that's
as long
it.
as once you're finished with your business, they just kindly ask you to leave. So that's
That
it.
was the plan, right?
Perfect.
Sounds good. Have a nice
Take care,
night.
guys.
Take care.
Then they got enough to do. Did detain them and get any information from them?
And it's the same. It's the same reason, you know, why people have access to our public, you know, parking lot sites and stuff like that. There's just restrictions on our security. So same thing for you guys. You just have to kind of discuss. But I don't foresee anything that's going to give them access.
There's no threat. Yeah, I agree. That would be different if there are any agents inside or any personnel. Since it's after hours. That would be different if there are in-ring type of activities that need to happen. So, okay? Have a good video.
Take care.